So welcome to my class, and we are doing secondary data, collection of data, and in that we are doing secondary data. In the secondary data we talked about published data and unpublished data, and now we are going to talk about, and we finished with all that, and in this we are going to talk about what are the precautions that are necessary for the use of secondary data. Remember, in this it should be RUS. Remember, there should be RUS in the use of secondary data. Now, what is RUS? R is for reliable, it should be adequate, and it should be suitable. So once again, there should be reliability, it should be adequate, and of course there should be suitability. And what is the method of collection, and what is the unit of measurement? All of this should be taken care of. So learn it up like this. So unpublished sources. So we talked about unpublished sources. We talked about published sources of secondary data. Okay. So we talked about the two important sources of data. See, I'm just going to show you once again. All of this we did. Okay. And then we talked about what is known as the two important sources of published data. And now we are going to do what is known as the precautions in the use of secondary data. It should be suitable, it should be adequate, it should be reliable, or we can learn it as RAS. Reliable, adequate, and suitable. So here we go. Just have a look. So just take the first one. So secondary data, because it's collected by somebody else, therefore it is highly important that a proper checkup of such data is made before they are used by the researcher or the investigator, because it's never safe to take the published data as they are. So when you take these data which is already there for you, you have to take the following precautions. Everything this has to be taken into consideration. Like just take suitability or suitable. The investigator must ensure that the data are suitable for the purpose of inquiry. He must see the purpose of which the data was originally collected and its suitability, or does it match for the purpose of investigation now in view. And secondly, it should be adequate. The investigator should also make sure that whether the data are enough for the investigation. So it is to be judged in the context of requirements of the survey by the available data. And for this you can think, you can take up these considerations, that is, what is the requirement of the present investigation. Now second, what was the geographical area covered by the secondary data, and what is the geographical area right now that I'm covering, and the time period obviously is present. Now which is the time period in which this particular secondary data, which I'm making use of as a researcher or as an investigator, was collected. So time period for which secondary data are available. All of this has to be taken in when you're talking about adequacy of data. Now third, we take reliability. The investigator must ensure whether the data are reliable. The reliable data can be judged from the following points. What is the status of the agency or the authority which collected the data? If you're not taking the NSSO, and if you're not taking the Census of India, so how reliable is that? What is the agency? Sorry, that will make it more reliable. So also, if you come to know, or you could find out, or you could call up from where the secondary data was taken up, that were the enumerators trained, or were they efficient, and what was the degree of accuracy that was desired or achieved when it was compiled finally, and the time period, is it relevant still? I mean, whatever data that if you're collecting a data about certain technology and it is 20 years ago, I'm sure it's not relevant. Even if it's 10 years ago, it's not relevant, because newer machinery or newer technology comes into the fore. Okay, then we come to what are the methods of collection. So in the methods of collection, the investigator should also take into account the method which was used in collection of data. Sampling method can be partial, can be biased depending upon the mode of selection of samples. So the method adopted must be in accordance to the nature of investigation. Then you have to have the units of measurement. The investigation must also ensure that the units of measurement used in the original collection of data are the same as adopted in the present study. Now, if the units of measurement differ, then one has to see that the data should be modified before you start even thinking of using it. So, well, if you really want to make use of the secondary data, these are the precautions that you have to take while using the secondary data in order to make your study very authentic. Okay.